In this series of videos, I'm going to go through some stuff that I get asked about all the time. Instructors ask me and people ask me all the time, and that is, what do I do in my own training? And the reason for that is because, in Warrior Flow, there's like 1,000 exercises. I mean, obviously not 1,000, but there's a lot of exercises, a lot of things you can do. And kind of the problem is, okay, so where do you start? What do you do? What do you do on a regular basis? Because you obviously can't do them all. The other thing is, you always got to take into consideration the amount of time you need to spend training, and also, the recovery that you need when you're training. I mean, you got to recover. You got to allow time for your body to recover. So what I'm going to do is go through this series, and I'll probably make this a series of videos, and I'll just keep doing them till whenever, because it's just stuff I like to do and talk about. And that is stuff I like to do. I've actually done this in the past for instructors, and whenever I do this and put it out more to the general public, some of my instructors think I'm giving away too much information, but my attitude is I'm not taking any of this to the afterlife. And I'm going to be 61 pretty soon, and God willing, I'll live another 20, 30 years. But the point is, this stuff does no good if I'm trying to hold on to the knowledge and take it with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through things I like to do on a consistent basis. And then, of course, I might even show some things, other things that I do. I don't always do them all the time because, again, they can be very taxing on the body, and you always got to allow time to recover. Okay, and I'm back. Okay, so in this first iteration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first go over the body movement stuff I do. And the reason why that's important, because, in Warrior Flow, we talk about the body all the time. And one of the things about Warrior Flow, and maybe I don't say it often enough, or maybe I haven't been clear about it, is Warrior Flow is not just a martial arts system per se, in terms of kicking, punching, blocks, whatever the case may be. It's a system of bodily movement or bodily mastery. And I think that's one of the major things that's missing from a lot of martial arts. They're good at teaching strikes. I don't know of too many martial arts that the striking systems they have are not good, because there's only so many things you can do with your body. So I don't have a problem with the striking systems. I don't even have a problem, believe it or not, with fancy kicks if you can pull it off. If you got the athleticism to make it work, God bless you. Same thing with grappling. If you got the coordination, speed, and the ability to grapple somebody on the ground and make it work, who am I to tell you? I mean, I don't really care. I don't, in other words, in Warrior Flow, we don't care what other people do. We only worry about what we know we need to do and what we know works, and actually works across the board for anyone, because we're all human. And I think that's the point. So the first thing I do is I start off with real simple stuff, because I'm a simple man. Ask my wife, she'll tell you all about it, right? And so I start off with, maybe some rolling the ball, nice and easy. And all I'm doing here is really feeling my hips and shoulders down to my feet move, and push my body back and forth, and getting my arms kind of moving. Sometimes I even just start off, or I just let my arms hang and let them just flop as I feel that relaxation. Because I like to start off relaxing my body as much as possible, so that when I get into other things, I'm kind of warmed up, but I'm also not all keyed up and tense, and stressed out. So as I'm doing this, and I'm just shifting back and forth, nice and easy, nothing major. I try to keep my feet about shoulder width apart. I mean, you can get your legs a little wider, but I find that kind of restricting, whereas if you get them too wide, then it becomes a problem for you when you start moving side to side, or wherever the case may be. So I try to keep my feet about shoulder width apart. Then from there, I kind of do some, kind of almost warding off stuff you see in Tai Chi. Whereas my hands, I'm doing the same basic motion, only now I'm kind of warding off. And all I'm doing here is just almost like I'm pushing the clouds, pushing, whatever. And when you're doing this, you should feel in the body a smoothness, but also with your hands and your arms, you should feel, when you're doing this, the wind and the air moving around your body. In here, there's stuff in here. It's not a vacuum. you can actually feel, when you move your hand, you can actually feel the air moving between your fingers. So as I'm doing these exercises, I'm actually trying to feel that. And the reason is because I know when I'm moving like this and I'm feeling that, I know I'm not moving in a jerky manner. I'm not saying you can't feel it when you're moving fast. It's just harder to feel it when you're moving faster, that's all. And it tells me I'm being smooth and consistent. The next thing I like to do, and I'm going to turn sideways so you can see this, is I like to shift my body forward and back. And feeling first, my arm's not moving. This is like one of the most basic things that Grandmaster Karen taught me. And the reason for this is I want to feel my body shifting forward and back, but really feeling myself decelerate in each direction, controlling my body. Then I start moving the hands back and forth, nice and easy. And notice as I'm pushing with the body is really moving the hands and pulling the hands back. You know, and I switch my foot position because I'm trying to balance off the force here, so to speak. And this is all I do, this kind of movement. And that starts the process of my initial warm-up. From there, I then start doing things with my arms because I like to get my arms relaxed. Most people don't know how to relax their arms. And what I do is I first start off maybe rolling my hands forward a little bit and then rolling backwards. Notice when I'm doing this though, my hands are not stiff, very relaxed. People make this harder than it has to be. Then I go to the side, I'm just stand sideways so you can see this. Then I go to the other side. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to feel in my shoulders and in my upper body, the same smoothness I have here, I want to feel the same smoothness here. And that's all I'm doing. I go back and forth, whatever. And I just kind of make it up to some degree as I go along. My point is, I'm not saying, okay, now I must do this and then I do, no, I'm just doing it. And the reason I'm just doing it is because I'm also trying to train my brain, and this is important, train my brain, that if I gotta be here and go here, or I gotta be here and go here, I can do it without thought because I've trained my brain to make those transitions without thought doing it, if that makes sense. In other words, whatever you put into your brain, however you train your body, that's what you're gonna do. You know, this idea we're gonna rise to the occasion, that doesn't happen. I've never seen that happen. What really happens, especially under duress, is you fall back on whatever level of training that you have, and that training is on a neurological level. You can't get around that. So neurologically, I also like to move in a manner that allows me the freedom to change. The next thing I do, very similar to that, I just roll my hands forward. Again, I'm gonna stand sideways so you can see this. And then I roll them backwards, you know, and I try not to hit myself in the face. Not that that's ever happened, right? As I'm doing this, I'm just doing it nice and easy. Then I roll my fist forward, either using like the hammer fist, or I use the back of the fist, but my hands are really loose. They're not tense. I just roll them. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to feel in the shoulders and in the elbow joint, all the way down to the wrist joint. This smooth, even relaxed feel. Back and forth, nothing major. Then from there, I like to do the same thing. First, chopping up and down with my hands. You know, I'm not trying to look like a robot or anything. Up and down. Then up and down with the palm heels. Then outward with the palm heels. Then rolling forward again with the palm heels and rolling back. And again, as you can see, I just kind of make this stuff up as I go along based on whatever I feel like doing. And the reason for that is, again, I don't want this to be a tense, you know, kind of thing. I want this to be a very fluid, relaxed thing. Then I like to chop a little forward, where my hands are going back and forth, and I do structure it slightly, where I exaggerate the thumb, because it does change the way my hands move. And when my hands are really relaxed, that's one thing. When my hands start structuring weapons, it does change the movement a little bit. So you want to be comfortable with that, because you got to find that happy medium between, you know, a little muscular tension and not too much muscular tension. So as I'm going back and forth. And then I like to do these elliptical kind of movements. So instead of my hands going just back and forth, I now let one hand kind of pass over the other, but it's not a big open circle as it is. My hands are barely clearing each other. I don't know if you can see that. So I'll go slow, just like that. And I try to do that as best as possible. And the reason is, when I'm chopping like this, that's one thing. When my hand gets this kind of elliptical movement, I don't know if you can see that well, it actually gets faster. but I'm striking with the same surface. Same thing with my fist. As I'm rolling forward, eventually I start getting smaller, almost like this little elliptical movement where it's not this bigger circle, it's these little ones. So when I want to step in and pop somebody, or even if I have my fist like a boxer where I'm going through like this, what I'm doing is I'm getting the shoulders rolling and I'm just stepping in and I'm popping people. So that's the kind of stuff I basically do. Now in the next segment of this, I'm going to show some other stuff I do with my arms that really starts helping coordinate your arms, because it's very important. Because I think in the martial arts, while people learn how to hit, they don't really do a lot to develop their arms, to be able to move their arms the way they want to move them. You know, because a real fight, if it's going to be chaotic, why not be better at it than other people? That's how you're going to move anyway.